Hello and welcome to the 7th installment of the review of Netflix Sandman. As always, links to previous installments will be listed below. Now with that said, brew an extra strong batch of chai for this one, as I foresee rough waters up ahead. Let's begin the review. Episode 7. The Doll's House. This begins the Doll's House story arc, which is covered in issues 10 to 16 in the comic. We begin in Cape Kennedy, Florida, 2015. We are introduced to the aforementioned race-swapped character number 6, Rose Walker, and race-swapped character number 11, Jed Walker, her brother. They are packing to leave to New Jersey with their mother from the result of their parents' divorce. Their mother comes in, and tells them that after speaking to their dad, only she and Rose will be going, and Jed will be left with the dad. Apparently, what was agreed between the two, the father has now changed his mind. Why? Who knows? Rose says he is doing this out of spite, and they cannot leave Jed, but her mother tells Rose she cannot take Jed without his consent. In the threshold, Desire calls on Despair, and she appears in her realm, and Desire tells Despair about the new scheme he's concocted. Despair is skeptical since the last plan failed, but Desire tells her about Rose Walker and that she is a dream vortex. Now we are in the present day, and Rose is packing to leave to England, and we meet her traveling companion, Lyta Hall. Let me pause it here for a moment. Lyta Hall is a character in comic, but she is here standing in for Rose's mother. In the show, Rose's mother has passed away, while in the comic, she accompanies Rose to England. There is a reason why the show has done this, which we will get into as the story progresses, but I wanted to highlight this creative choice, as it affects the progression of this entire story arc. On the phone, Rose is speaking to most likely a solicitor, looking for the whereabouts of her brother Jed. Apparently, all of her mother's funds have been exhausted, and a debt now needs to be paid, which she says she intends to pay it once she has a job. Let me pause it here for a moment. Rose's mother has passed, and she does not have a job. I would think it is fair to assume that she is at university or such. Thus, everything she has done, she has not provided for herself. She did not have to worry about room and board, and even her tuition. Rose has relied on her mother's estate to pay for everything, and apparently she assumed the estate had an endless supply of fund to pay for legal fees and private investigators. Does she even have an idea of how much these expenses are? And if she did get a job, what kind of job would she get? An entry-level paying job at best. She has no experience at all in anything. With people complaining about wanting a living wage, ask yourself, does a person that has no work experience in anything deserve to be paid just as much as a person with 5 years of experience? Not to skew too much on a tangent, but throughout her entire life up to now, Rose never had to worry about finances. Anyway, Rose boards the plane in business class. Lyta tells her, the trip is paid for by an unknown benefactor, and she is also getting paid £250 a day for 7 days. Back in the dreaming, we meet Wokeness incarnate, Lucian talking to Abel. She is taking a census of the dreaming and Abel tells her about a rumor of a dream vortex. On the plane flying to England, Rose falls asleep, and we meet race-swapped character number 11, Hector Hall. Lyta's husband, sitting in the seat across the aisle. They chat concerned about Rose, and we learn that he is dead, and Lyta is dreaming. In Morpheus's palace, Lucian reports the census to him. She reports the numbers and informs him that 3 of the major arcana are missing. They are Halt, the Corinthian, and Fiddler's Green. Lucian continues her report, and tells him of the rumor of a vortex. Morpheus acknowledges the rumor and confirms that it is true. He shows her the vortex is Rose Walker, and perhaps the problem will lead to the solutions for the others. Back in England, Lyta and Rose arrive at their destination, and we meet race-swapped character number 12, Mr. Holdaway. He walks them to a room and we are reacquainted with an older version of race-swapped character number 2, Unity Kincaid. She exposits that she is the mysterious benefactor, and paid to have them come to visit her. She explains that she was inflicted with the sleeping sickness, and only woke up a year ago. She then tells them during the time she was asleep, she gave birth to a daughter, which a good family raised her, and she gave birth to a daughter, who was Rose's mother. Thus, Unity Kincaid is Rose's great-grandmother. Let me pause it here for a moment. As you might have remembered, the sleeping sickness occurred when Morpheus was captured by Roderick Burgess. If you remember the year, it was 1916. The current year stated is 2021. Doing a bit of math, 2021 minus 1916 equals 105. However, Unity states that she was inflicted when she was 12 years old. So 105 plus 12 equals 117. So Unity Kincaid is 117 years old.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Of course, this is not source material. Because the show wanted to make this present day, they added the years to Morpheus's imprisonment. Instead of changing the date he was imprisoned, they left it as is, and made Unity a great-grandmother, rather than just a grandmother. In the comic, Unity Kincaid is about 85 years old. Much more plausible than 117 years old. Would you call that a nitpick, or an oversight by the showrunners? Either way, the showrunners have already proven they don't care about anachronisms or continuity. Anyway, math time is over. In a diner in Huntsville, Alabama, 3 people chat about bringing a big-name speaker to their convention. The 3 people are Nimrod, Funland, and the Doctor. As they throw names around, they mention the Corinthian, and hold him in high regards. They have no way of reaching out to him, and the Doctor suggests getting his attention by copying his style, which Nimrod states they do not plagiarize other people's work. The Doctor informs them they have to leave and that they are sending the Corinthian a message. Back in New Jersey, the Corinthian pays a visit to Rose Walker's flat and is greeted by her flat sitter. He asks a few questions as to her whereabouts and he tells him she's currently in England, but he is welcome to wait. After a butt-banging session, the Corinthian informs him that he wants to give Rose a job and notices an alert on his phone that shows the copycat murder, rushing him to leave. The flat sitter implores him to have another butt-bang session, but says no, and tells him to have Rose call him. Let us pause it here for a moment. None of this is source material, however, I do like the collectors vying to grab the Corinthian's attention. In regards to the Corinthian, why he does not kill Rose's flat sitter, makes no sense. Yes, he did ask him to have her get in touch with her, but he is still actively seeking her out, then waiting for her to contact him is redundant. Besides, it is what he does. Back in London, Rose enters a room and encounters the 3 Fates. They warn her about the future, and tell her they cannot protect her, until Lyta comes in and breaks their meeting. Unity, Lyta, and Rose are sitting together peating some chai, and catching each other up to speed. Rose tells Unity that he wants to look for Jed once she has some money to do so, and Unity offers to employ her to do that very thing. She will pay all expenses as well as a salary. How convenient. It is Deus Ex Machina convenient. Although this is from the source material, can you understand how race-swapping Unity Kincaid makes no sense? Not only that, but the show played up how Rose needed money without earning a single dollar in her life. Now, she has found her long-lost great sugar grandmother. Back in the dreaming, Lucien is researching Rose and Jed Walker in the library. Merv Pumpkinhead comes in asking about the vortex, and Lucien tells him that Morpheus is monitoring the situation. Matthew will observe Rose in the waking world, and Merv specifically tells Matthew to report his findings to Lucien, before reporting to Morpheus. Merv says, everybody knows she's the real person running the dreaming, and Matthew says he does not have any issues with this. Let us pause it here for a moment. The previous scene is blasphemous to the source material. It is absolutely unacceptable. To make sure there is nothing lost in translation, let me play the actual scene for you.
See anything? You tell Lucien before you tell the boss.
Mervyn?
Stop! Everyone knows you secretly run this place.
I got no problem with that.
Atta bird.
Thank you, Matthew.
And now you've heard it. Straight from the showrunner's script. The showrunners have overtly undermined Morpheus as a character. Clearly, Morpheus is incapable of running the dreaming on his own, and not only requires Lucien's assistance, but needs it, or else the dreaming is doomed. Let me emphasize this is not source material, but I am sure you already assumed that on your own. This one scene, which happens to have woke incarnate, Lucien, and her minion, Matthew, has ruined the show in its entirety. Even if the show from here on out was perfect, nothing can save this show without the omission of this scene. Of course, it was shocking to hear this dialogue said out in the open, and it does require a proper response.
Assholes.
You fucking asshole.
Fuck you.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
Fuck you.
Okay, fuck you. How's that?
Fuck you. Oh, fuck you! Fuck the lot of you! Fuck you all!
Also, if Neil Gaiman had any say in the script, how could he have not object to this scene written the way it was? I do not know. Anyway, let us get this shit over with, shall we? Rose and Lyta go to Florida to look for Jed, and we meet their new flatmates. We meet Hal, the owner of the house, the couple, Ken and Barbie, the Spider Ladies, Chantel and Zelda, and Gilbert, who is not present at the time. Rose and Lyta visit the social worker for Jed, and ask her where he is, but she will not divulge the information as Rose is not Jed's legal guardian. Rose gets bitchy with the social worker and the social worker asks her if she can take care of Jed. Let's pause it here for a moment. At this moment, Rose should have said, yes. I have a rich great sugar grandmother that is loaded. So yes, I have the funds to take care of him, and he will be surrounded with loving relatives. However, she said nothing, like an empty-headed idiot. Of course, Lyta says nothing as well.
You stupid fucking cunt.
Had Rose said what I suggested, the entire story arc regarding Jed would have ended. Instead, we have to go through the motions of finding her brother. Anyway, they return to the flat with no good news, and they all go out to watch Hal's drag show. I will do the same as the source material, and show that they went. The show gives us the performance, and in my opinion wastes the time of the episode to show us something that does not move the story forward. Once again, it is the woke narrative pushed forward over the source material. Rose steps out of the club to take a phone call, when she is confronted by two hoodlums looking to rob her at knife point. Do you notice that the hoodlums are both white males? With so many videos of black people robbing people at gunpoint on Twitter, or brazenly stealing from stores, the show continues to propagate the woke narrative that evil in the world is the white male patriarchy. As they step closer towards Rose, a gentlemanly Brit, Gilbert, steps in to defend Rose. After a brief scuffle, which Rose incapacitates one hoodlum, and Gilbert holds another at sword point, the hoodlums run away. Gilbert introduces himself and they leave to return home. Matthew reports back to Lucien that Rose is in Florida looking for Jed, and Lucien consults her books and can find nothing on him as well. Back in Alabama, in the exact same diner, and the exact same table, the collectors discuss the Corinthian, when he steps into their conversation. They tell him about their convention, and that they would like him to be the guest of honor, which he is pleased to be. At night, Rose wakes up, and Lucien and Morpheus discuss the whereabouts of Jed in the palace, when Rose steps towards them, and asks about Jed. Next, we see Jed taking a run down a road, and a car stops in front of him. It is his Aunt Clarice, and she asks what is he doing. He tells her, he's running away from Uncle Barnaby, and they must leave now. Clarice is reluctant as she has no money or any place to go to, but she finally agrees, and they are about to get into the car. Uncle Barnaby drives up, and asks them what they are doing. Clarice says she found Jed, and was about to take him home. Barnaby tells Jed to ride home with him, and to get into the boot. This concludes episode 7. We have already discussed the issues as they arose, but let me add a few additional points. The first one is the actress playing Rose Walker. She is absolutely terrible. Of course the script makes her a bitchy person, and that is on the writers, but her acting is so wooden that a cardboard cutout could stand in for her. Every time she makes an expression or has to deliver a line, you can see her recording in her head. There is nothing natural in her deliveries. Unfortunately, this story arc revolves around Rose Walker, and we will be getting a lot more of her in the remaining episodes. Again, Rose is a race-swapped character that is related to Unity Kincaid. Thus, if Rose was going to be casted as a black woman, they had to cast Unity as a black person as well. Once again, do you think the auditions were open to the best actress, or was the show already dead set on the role going to a black person? With all of the woke decisions made throughout the show, are you still skeptical, or are you convinced now? Next is the portrayal of Rose compared to the comic. Rose's mother is still alive in the comic, so her going to London is more for her mother, and not for her. She is tagging along more than being requested to come, like the show. With Rose's mother gone, they are trying to show Rose being more independent, and getting things done on her own, when I believe it is doing the opposite. Because Unity found her, and is rich, she is the reason that allows Rose to go to Florida. Had Unity not been rich, she would have been forced to get some rubbish entry-level job to pay off the debt owed. Now let us assign a grade to the episode. Without any source material, it gets a 3. Without knowing how competent Morpheus is, I do not like underlings talking behind their lord's back. They are ungrateful rebels. Also, Rose Walker is horrible and annoying. The only part I liked was the collectors. Now, why would they go back to the same diner that they murdered the waiter? Makes no sense. With the source material, of course you already know it deserves a 1. The overt blasphemy was as great as a tsunami. Absolutely unacceptable. This concludes the review of episode 7. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in our next installment. Until then, have a nice day, and take care.